Imagine standing in a quiet room, the kind of room where the world outside feels distant, almost suspended in time, and suddenly a door slams shut with a force that makes your heart skip. It is startling, unnerving, and yet, behind that abrupt noise, there is a story waiting to be understood, a lesson about the hidden laws that govern our universe. Many of us pass through life reacting to events without pausing to ask why, accepting the seemingly random as mere coincidence, but the world is far from random. Every gust of wind that rattles a door is a messenger, carrying within it the secrets of physics, the invisible forces that shape our everyday experiences. Richard Feynman often reminded us that the beauty of science lies not just in complex formulas or abstract theories, but in the ability to observe, question, and marvel at the ordinary, transforming what seems mundane into something extraordinary. The door that slams in the wind is not just a door. It is an illustration of pressure differences, airflow, and the elegant dance described by Bernoulli's principle. It is a reminder that the universe operates with rules, often hidden, but accessible to those willing to pay attention. When air moves swiftly across one side of a door, the pressure drops, and the imbalance creates a force that pushes with surprising power. This is not magic, nor is it chaos. It is nature speaking a language we can learn to read, a language that explains why moments of frustration or surprise occur in ways that are predictable once we understand the mechanics. To stand in front of that door, to feel the sudden rush, and to realize the invisible currents that caused it, is to glimpse the deeper order underlying our reality. Yet, understanding alone is not enough. It requires curiosity, an inquisitive spirit that refuses to settle for surface explanations. It calls for a mind that, like Feynman's, seeks to dismantle assumptions, to look beneath appearances, and to find delight in discovery. We are surrounded by phenomena that we often overlook, a door slamming, a leaf fluttering, a candle flickering, but each holds lessons about cause, effect, and the intricate interplay of forces that govern our world. There is a kind of poetry in this, a rhythm to the universe that invites us to participate rather than merely observe. Every experiment, every observation, no matter how small, is an opportunity to engage with the fundamental principles that structure our lives. The door's sudden motion, once intimidating, becomes fascinating, a tangible manifestation of invisible dynamics, a call to awaken the dormant curiosity within us. In these moments, we begin to recognize that life itself functions like a series of pressure differentials, opportunities, and obstacles, all interacting in patterns that can be understood if we approach them with attention, patience, and a willingness to question. And so, the next time a door slams in the wind, do not recoil in surprise. Lean in with awareness, listen to the story it tells, and allow the ordinary to become extraordinary through the lens of curiosity, observation, and a mind inspired by the philosophy that Richard Feynman embodied so perfectly. Now imagine that same door, but this time, instead of merely slamming, it hovers for a brief, almost imperceptible moment before the wind decides its fate. That hesitation, that suspended second, holds within it a tension that mirrors life itself. A pause where everything seems uncertain, where outcomes hang delicately in balance, and where the invisible forces at work are more powerful than we often realize. In these fleeting instants, we confront the hidden complexity of the world. Air flows not in straight lines but curves, it accelerates and slows, creating pressure differences that push and pull with a precision that seems intentional. Yet it is impersonal, indifferent to our presence, and utterly reliable in its obedience to the laws of nature. Richard Feynman often emphasized that the world is governed by these elegant rules, and that by observing carefully, thinking critically, and embracing curiosity, we can uncover truths that transform fear into understanding. The suspense in a slamming door is a metaphor for the uncertainty we face in life. We encounter situations that feel sudden, shocking, or uncontrollable, but if we look closely, patterns emerge, revealing the subtle forces shaping every outcome. The wind that builds its invisible momentum outside your window is like the accumulation of small events, small choices, and unseen pressures that shape the trajectory of our lives. At first, the effect seems abrupt, violent even, but when analyzed patiently, it is the natural result of interacting elements obeying fundamental principles. It is both humbling and liberating to realize that nothing happens in isolation. Each gust, each push, each response is connected to a larger system, an interwoven tapestry of cause and effect. There is suspense here because the forces we cannot see are also the forces that define possibility. The same wind that slams a door can lift a kite, spin a windmill, or scatter seeds across a field, each outcome dependent on timing, position, and subtle variations. To understand these dynamics is to gain agency in a world that initially feels chaotic. It teaches us that uncertainty is not the enemy, but a space for insight, a threshold where curiosity and patience convert confusion into knowledge. Every moment of suspense, whether in the flutter of a curtain, the creak of a hinge, or the sudden slam of a door, is an invitation to look deeper, to question what seems obvious, and to appreciate the elegance of systems that operate beyond our immediate perception. The thrill of discovery is born in these moments, where anticipation meets clarity, and where the ordinary becomes extraordinary through careful observation. We begin to see parallels between the slamming door and the human experience, the unseen pressures in relationships, the hidden currents of opportunity, the subtle influences that shape our choices. Just as airflow and pressure dictate the movement of a door, unseen forces shape our paths, waiting for us to notice, understand, and act. And in this understanding, there is freedom, the freedom to navigate life with awareness, to anticipate challenges, and to respond not with fear, but with insight and curiosity. And so, having observed the sudden slam, the moment of suspense, and the invisible forces at play, we arrive at a deeper realization. Life, much like the wind moving a door, is a continuous interplay of cause and effect, seen and unseen, predictable yet full of surprises. Understanding the physics behind a slamming door is more than a curiosity. It is a metaphor for awareness, a reminder that what appears sudden or violent often has an underlying logic waiting to be discovered. Richard Feynman taught us that the joy of science comes not from memorizing answers, but from asking questions, from looking beneath the surface, and from embracing the unknown with both rigor and wonder. When we apply this perspective to our own lives, we recognize that the challenges, shocks, and sudden changes we face are not merely random misfortunes, but signals of systems in motion, of forces we can learn to interpret, and of opportunities to respond with thoughtfulness rather than fear. Just as Bernoulli's principle explains why air flowing faster over one side of a door reduces pressure and causes motion, we can begin to see that small, seemingly invisible factors in our lives, our habits, choices, attitudes, and awareness, interact to produce results that can either slam doors shut or open new possibilities. The power lies in observation and understanding. When we cultivate curiosity, patience, and a willingness to learn, we equip ourselves to anticipate outcomes, to minimize unnecessary conflict, and to harness the momentum of events rather than being crushed by them. There is a subtle artistry in this approach, a philosophical elegance in acknowledging that while we cannot control the wind, we can adjust our position, brace the door, or even redirect its force to our advantage. It is the same mindset that separates those who feel at the mercy of circumstances from those who engage with the world thoughtfully, seeing patterns, cause, and effect in every interaction. The lesson of a slamming door becomes profound. In a universe governed by principles, every effect has a cause, every disturbance carries meaning, and every surprise holds potential insight. If we choose to ignore these lessons, we stumble blindly, reacting rather than understanding. But if we approach them with awareness, curiosity, and determination, we gain clarity, resilience, and empowerment. Life is full of these moments, the unexpected gusts, the sudden challenges, the moments that startle us into awareness. By paying attention, by thinking like Feynman, and by refusing to accept the world at face value, we begin to transform everyday experiences into opportunities for growth, knowledge, and joy. We start to see that even the simplest occurrences, the slam of a door, the flutter of a curtain, the ripple of a breeze, are expressions of universal laws, and that by observing carefully, we can uncover the beauty and order hidden in apparent chaos. And so, take this lesson with you. Approach life with curiosity, embrace uncertainty as a space for discovery, and remember that the world is not random but rich with patterns waiting to be understood. Let every door, every gust, every challenge remind you that knowledge is power, observation is wisdom, and curiosity is a lifelong companion. If you are benefiting from our topics, please subscribe, like, and turn on the bell notification so you can see our new videos early.